What is up, guys? In this video, I'm going to be giving you the 5 sharpest strategies to make money betting on football, and we're going to focus on the NFL. So you can see last year in 2024, I use a verified bet tracker called Pickett. I made over $80,000 betting on football. So that includes NFL and college football. It was about half and half. But regardless, the point of this video is to break down how I'm gonna attack the sports books this year when betting on the NFL. So there's a few things I want to mention at the start of the video. First things first, I don't bet with my gut, right? Like every strategy we're going to discuss is data driven. These are sharp strategies that pro sports bettors, this is how they're consistently beating the books. A couple other things I wanted to mention are when I'm betting on the NFL, that doesn't mean I'm only placing bets on Sunday. Right? I mean, a lot of times Monday, I'm already placing bets for Sunday, right? Like I'm constantly scanning the sports books, looking for inefficiencies in the market, value throughout the week. And you can kind of see that in my profit graph from last year. I placed well over 1,000 bets on football, and that's really important, right? Like as a sharp sports bettor, you're trying to lock in as many bets with an edge as possible. It's not about just finding the lock of the week. That's BS. You should not be paying for picks. That's all total BS, right? Like sports betting is about placing a bunch of bets. Every bet has a mathematical advantage, whether you're placing arbitrage bets, EV bets. Every single play you lock in has an edge, and then you just kind of let the math work itself out. You can see in September, which was one of my best months sports betting ever, I made over $70,000. I still had losing days where I lost 7K. And I know at this point, I've been very seriously sports betting for over 6 years. I know that I'm gonna have some down days, some down weeks. It's all about having a long-term focus, right? Every bet has an edge. You just gotta let the math work itself out. It's kind of like flipping a coin that's weighted to show up on heads, 55% to show up on heads. There are gonna be times where that coin shows up tails 3 times in a row, but you know over the course of the long run, that coin is gonna land on heads a lot more. It's favored, it's weighted to land on heads. So if you're flipping a coin for money, you'd obviously wanna bet on heads. But regardless, without further ado, let's get into the most profitable NFL betting strategies. If you enjoy this content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment any other video ideas. I love making sports betting content, and I definitely will be cranking out tons of content throughout this football season. So videos, things you want to see from me, let me know. So let's start out with DFS books. There's 5 main DFS books I use. They're super popular. Prize Picks, Underdog Fantasy, Better, Dabble, and DraftKings Pick 6 is actually a new one that we'll get to use this upcoming season. So I've yet to place a play on DraftKings Pick 6 for the NFL yet. But anyways, the way these very popular DFS platforms like Prize Picks work is they have fixed payouts, okay? So I'll give you a simple example. Here you can see a slip I built for the Super Bowl. It ended up cashing in a super profitable play that I ended up locking in my slip was Kareem Hunt under 9.5 first quarter rushing yards. So it may seem like a kind of random player prop, but sometimes the value is in these more niche markets. So basically on Prize Picks, and you can see that in this little video here, if you switch a player, it doesn't matter what sport you're betting on, by the way, if you switch a player from taking the over to the under, it doesn't matter. You're going to get the same payout regardless. For a 2-pick entry, a 3x payout. For a 3-pick entry, a 6x payout. For a 4-pick entry, a 10x payout. So why did I decide to take the under? Well, if you compare Prize Picks to Sportsbooks, and you can do this with the OddsJam Positive EV tool, all it does is scan all of the lines on Prize Picks, compare that to Sportsbooks in real time to point out value, is you're gonna see every sportsbook had Hunt's under massively favored. So for example, on Caesars, his under was a -175 favorite, a really big favorite. You got to remember, -200 means a 2-to-1 favorite, 2/3 to win. So his under is massively favored. So if you're going to include this in a Prize Pick slip, Kareem Hunt's over or under, obviously you'd want to take his under 9.5 rushing yards. So you can see on FanDuel, for this Kareem Hunt play, they were only offering a one-way market. They only were offering his over at plus 140, same odds as Caesar. So even though it's only a one-way market, you know if they were offering a price on the under, it would probably be around minus 175. So basically, all you want to do is compare PrizePicks lines to sportsbooks and find spots where there's heavy juice, right? Where books are saying, hey, the over or the under, in this case it was the under on Kareem Hunt, is heavily favored. And that's the sharp, profitable pick you want to be on. Now, the next thing I want to mention, if you look at this same slip, is correlation. So same game correlation just means pairing picks together in the same game. It's always picks in the same game that makes sense to pair together. So I'll give you a simple example. Is in this PrizePicks slip, I paired Jalen Hurts over in passing yards, first half, with A.J. Brown over in first half receiving yards. A.J. Brown is Jalen Hurts' main target, so it should intuitively make sense if Jalen Hurts goes over, if he has a great first half. Probably a lot of those passing yards were going to A.J. Brown, and A.J. Brown's more likely to go over. So these two picks are positively correlated. On PrizePicks, I'm going to get the same payout if I take Hurts over, Brown over, compared to Hurts over, Brown under. Obviously, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever to pair together in the same slip for the same payout, Jalen Hurts over, Brown under. So that is important to mention, is same game correlation is the strongest when you focus on a quarterback and their main wide receiver. One thing to mention is in this specific slip, I also believe Hunt's under was positively correlated as well, right? If the Eagles have the ball and are driving more, then there's a higher probability Hunt's gonna go under his first quarter rushing yards line. That should intuitively make sense as well. But again, the correlation is strongest if you wanna exploit same game correlation on PrizePicks, it's pretty simple. Wide receiver over, the main wide receiver or tight end, the main target, and quarterback over. Now, one thing I wanted to mention that you do need to be careful of on PrizePicks is payout shifts. So I'll give you a simple example. As I've said before, on PrizePicks, any 4-pick entry has a 10x payout, and that is completely true. So 4-pick power plays, 10x payout, are in general the best slips for correlating football. So if you look at this slip right here, 4-pick entry, it's a preseason play, but regardless, I have 2 correlated picks, Malik Heath over in receiving yards and Malik Willis over in passing yards, right? These players are on the same team. Heath had the highest receiving yards line. So if Malik Willis goes over, Malik Heath is gonna be more likely to go over. And you'll see on PrizePicks, they're giving you a 10x payout. That's what they always give you. However, if you change to a 5-pick power play or a 5-pick flex play, which has a 20x payout, you're gonna see PrizePicks throws out their fixed payouts. So if you look at PrizePicks for a 5-man, if you take Malik Heath over, Malik Willis over, they're gonna reduce your payout. You can see me switching it around in the video. They're gonna reduce the payout from 20x to 18.5x. So this is called a payout shift. So obviously you wanna avoid payout shifts because that is PrizePicks factoring in same game correlation to try to bring the payout that they're giving you back down to a level that's not profitable. So again, pairing wide receiver over, QB over, you're gonna have the best success playing 4-pick power plays. You should still get a 10x payout, just like in the example I gave you. So on PrizePicks specifically, I know there's other DFS apps that I use, but regardless, for PrizePicks specifically, the sweet spot is 4-mans. So next we have Sportsbook promos. And I call this the low-hanging fruit of sports betting. It's the easiest money you'll ever make. Even if you don't have a big bankroll, you can still make a lot of money with Sportsbook promos. So basically, all these sports books, FanDuel, DraftKings, PrizePicks, Flip, whatever, they're all in competition for new customers. PrizePicks knows 97% of sports bettors lose long term. So every single day, they want sports bettors waking up and going on to PrizePicks, not Underdog Fantasy or FanDuel. Every single day, there's probably $50 of free value being given out in sportsbook promos. So I'll give you a simple example. Flip is a sportsbook. It's available in nearly every state, and they run promos like this all the time. Okay, so this is a free $10 bill. You know, you can't bet $1 million on this. It's capped at 10 bucks. But if you literally log into the app, they're giving you a free $10. And I get it, it's just $10, but it takes 2 seconds to do this and it's free money. Mahomes, over half of a passing yard, plus 100. That's literally a free $10 bill. Prize Picks does this a lot too. They have free squares. Here you can see one on Caleb Williams. So just taking advantage of the low-hanging fruit, easy money through these promos that you can make probably $50 a day on average if you're using a bunch of sports books, constantly checking them for profitable promos, profit boosts, risk-free bets, stuff like that. So the third strategy, which is amazing for NFL betting, is arbitrage. Arbitrage is a way to make risk-free profits off the sports books. Sounds crazy, sounds too good to be true, but you'll see tons of people on social media. This guy, Arbthief, for example, is a sharp professional sports bettor. He does arbitrage betting for a living. He also does free trainings on it. So I definitely recommend tuning into one. But basically, sports betting legalized in the US in 2018. Everybody wants a piece of the pie. There are literally hundreds of sports books that have launched. PointsBet, Fanatics, Hard Rock, FanDuel, DraftKings, MGM, Caesars. All these books though, they want to be unique and set their own odds. So basically, arbitrage betting is simple. Out of the millions of odds across books, sometimes they get so screwed up, so different in where they're pricing games, where you can bet equal and opposite outcomes to guarantee a profit. So I've done full-length YouTube tutorials on arbitrage that you can watch, pro tip videos. I've explained live arbitrage, but let me just take you through a simple example. Arbitrage betting is something you can do in any state, right? So this guy, I literally logged onto Twitter while doing this video. He hit this arbitrage bet for $290 risk-free profit. The second the game ends, he's $290 richer just from placing a couple bets, which is pretty insane. So basically what he noticed is 2 books legal in Florida, Novig and Hard Rock, were super out of sync on the Ravens-Colts preseason game. So on Novig, he bet the Ravens, and on Hard Rock, he bet the Colts at minus 140. So there's no complicated math. All you have to do is follow an arbitrage calculator. So if he knows he's betting 1470 on Hard Rock, you can just plug that into an arbitrage calculator, which tells you to bet like approximately 760 bucks on Novig, which is a peer-to-peer betting exchange with no limits. Tells you to bet around 760 bucks on the Ravens at plus 233. So if the game ties, which I think is possible in preseason, you can get ties. If the game ties, both bets are refunded, right? If the game ties, your net profit is 0. Obviously, this wouldn't apply to playoff games or certain player props, but if the game ties, both bets are going to be refunded. However, let's go through the much more likely outcome is one of these two teams is going to win. So let's just say the Colts win. They're the favored team. On Hard Rock, he bet 1470 at minus 140 odds, so he's going to profit 1,050. And then on Novig, he bet 758.36 on the Ravens. He's going to lose that. So again, as long as the game is not a tie, he's going to be making a risk-free profit regardless. His net profit, if the Colts win, is going to be $291.61. So again, if the game's a tie, both bets get refunded. That's the worst situation. He ends up $0. If the Colts win, he makes $291.61. But what if the underdog wins, the Ravens? If the Ravens win, he's going to lose $14.70 on Colts on Hard Rock, and on Novig, he's going to make $1769.13 if you just work out the math for a net profit of $299.13. So he has no risk, is making money regardless. And again, what's amazing about arbitrage, the reason I started sports betting with it when I had a $5,000 bankroll, is it's risk-free money, right? Maybe it doesn't have as much upside as EV betting or some other betting strategies, but you know every single day that you put in the work to find these arbitrage bets, you're gonna make money. What's better than that? It's a way to grow your bankroll in a risk-free way. kind of like investing in bonds. But again, in sports betting in general, not always the case for NFL, but you're usually placing arbitrage bets on games that day. So the only thing that sucks about this arbitrage bet is he has to wait until Saturday or Sunday when the game ends to get his $290 in profit. So he's locking up, about $2,000. Still, I mean, that's a ridiculous return. For like 5 or 6 days, he's getting over a 10% return, $290 out of about $2,000 total bet. Ridiculous return. For just 6 days. I mean, you have to remember treasuries, bonds, US treasuries return 4% over a year. This guy just made well over 10% that he's getting in 5 days. That's an incredible return. Every investment advisor's dream. So finding these arbitrage bets is an amazing way to grow your bankroll in a risk-free way, and you should absolutely be doing it. So next we have middle betting, which is kind of similar to arbitrage betting. Just like all sportsbooks set their own odds, sometimes get out of sync. It's the same thing with their lines, okay? Sportsbooks set their own unique lines, and sometimes they get way out of sync. So I found this play on the Odds Jam Fantasy Optimizer. Underdog had Milroe's line at 81.5. If you look at Prize Picks, it was 113.5. That's a massive discrepancy. So what you could do is play the over 81.5, under 113.5. You're always gonna win at least one of these plays on Underdog and Prize Picks. But if he has between 82 and 113 passing yards, you're gonna win both plays. You're gonna win your over and your under. So I call middles the low risk lottery tickets. You're always gonna win one play, but you have the possibility to cash both. And you have to remember, most players, they follow a normal distribution. We know Milroe, he's not gonna throw for 0 yards. He's not gonna throw for 1,000. So he's probably gonna end up somewhere in that range. So the probability this middle hits is actually quite likely. And you may be thinking too, like, where does the sports knowledge come in? It doesn't, okay? There's a few main strategies the sharps and pros use to make money. Stop overcomplicating sports betting. It's correlation, sharp DFS strategy. That's the first thing we discussed. Promo, second thing we discussed. Middles and arbitrage, next two things we discussed. And then the final strategy we are going to talk about is positive EV betting. So let's get to that. So the final strategy I absolutely love for making money betting on the NFL is called positive EV betting. It makes up the majority of my betting volume nowadays. And again, it is not risk-free. This is very different from middle and arbitrage betting. Even in months, even this month in August, when I'm recording this video, I'm up over $30,000. I still have days where I'm down $3,000. So EV betting, you are going to have variance. But basically, all that EV betting is it's using market data to find discrepancies. So there's hundreds of sports books and what you're doing. So as an example, I locked in Commanders minus 198 on FanDuel. Obviously, that's my team. I'm from Virginia. I love Jaden Daniels, but I'm betting this at minus 198. All the other books have the Commanders as much bigger favorites, around like minus 230. So all of these other books are data points. DraftKings, Caesars, they're multi-billion-dollar companies. So the way I like to think about EV betting is kind of like I'm buying the Commanders at $198 when every other data point is saying they should be around $230, minus 230 favorites, bigger favorites. So EV betting, you're finding value in the market using other sports books as data points. You can think about another simple example is, let's say a player's passing yards line is 180 yards on FanDuel. In every other sports book, DraftKings, Caesars, Prize Picks, every other book, Pinnacle, Circa, Bet Online, those are known to be sharp books. Every other book has him, let's say, 40 yards higher at 220. Obviously, I'm gonna bet the over 180 on FanDuel because every other book is saying no, the line shouldn't be at 180, it should be at 240. So EV betting can apply to odds differences as well as line differences. Now, another interesting thing about this Commanders play is you can see DraftKings and FanDuel are arbitrage. This is a very small arbitrage bet, but DraftKings and FanDuel have such different prices that you could arbitrage bet it to make a little risk-free profit. But whenever there's arbitrage, one of the bets has to be profitable, right? If I can bet the Cowboys plus 200 on DraftKings and the Commanders minus 198 on FanDuel to make a little risk-free profit, if you can bet both bets, equal and opposite outcomes on two books to make a guaranteed profit, one of those two bets has to be profitable or plus EV. So you have higher confidence in your edge. Whenever there's an arbitrage opportunity, you could just take the risk-free profit like we went through earlier. But whenever arbitrage exists, there has to be a positive EV bet, right? There has to be a mathematically profitable plus EV wager, because you could bet both and make a small little profit or a big profit. It depends on the arbitrage opportunity. But with arbitrage, one of the two plays has to be profitable or plus EV. Cowboys plus 200 or Commanders minus 198, which increases your confidence in your edge, right? So I love finding cross-market EV bets. I've made a full YouTube tutorial on it because whenever there's a cross-market, you have 100% confidence that one of the bets, one of the two plays is plus EV. Then you can kind of look at the other sports books and figure out which play is actually profitable. But anyways, tons of information. Thanks for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know other video ideas. Let's make money this NFL season.